What is up, you guys? My name is Armand. I'm a Toronto-based deep and progressive house DJ and producer, and this series is Ableton from scratch. I've designed this free Ableton course for you guys for people who have gotten no experience before with music production or with Ableton. Please don't mind my crazy coronavirus quarantine hair, it's starting to get a little bit out of control, and hopefully we're going to get back to the point soon where we can start going out and seeing each other, and maybe in the long run getting our clubs and festivals open as well, but I'm not holding out hope that that's going to be in 2020. For now, this is a good time to dive into your computer and learn something about music production if it's a skill that you've always wanted to learn. Now, in our sessions so far, we've already learned how to navigate around the software, how to write in your drums, add in a bass line, and write and compose your lead and supporting melodies. So in today's session, we're going to continue along the compositional theme, and we're going to learn how to start composing and arranging your full song once you've already come up with your main lead sort of melody or hook. Alright guys, so let's dive into the computer and continue building up our song together. Alright guys, so here we are back in Ableton, and here's the song where we left off from last week. We wrote in the lead melody, which is here in purple, marked as lead synth. Let's hear that on its own. And you'll recall we also added in this yellow synth to kind of trade melodies so that we'd break up a bit of the repetition. And that sounds like this. Okay, and as supporting melodies, you'll recall we had these two pads down here, so let's solo these together. Okay, so all together, the groove sounds like this. Alright, so you might be asking yourself now, we've got this groove going, how do we turn this into a full song? Obviously, we're going to add in a few other effects, maybe some additional percussion, perhaps a few other accent instruments here and there, but basically, this is kind of the full meat and potatoes of what this song is going to be. So once I get to this point with writing out a groove or a melody, I tend to then start reverse engineering the rest of the song. So what I'll do is actually just grab all of this by selecting it with my mouse and dragging it over a bunch to the right so that I've got plenty of room to work over here and start writing out the intro of the song. I think it's very rare that you'll have a full song melody and build up kind of written out in your head already, and you'll be able to write it out like a book, left to right. Everyone's got a different practice that works best for them, but personally for me what's worked is kind of building up to this level of groove and then starting to, as I say, reverse engineer it. So that then brings you to the question of how should the song start. Typically what I'll do is take away a little bit of the percussion, but I will start by moving the kick and the drums over. So I'll just highlight this section of kick and Command C to copy it, and I'll put it over here, Command V to paste, and then I'll just do some duplication by Command D. So there's 16 measures, right? 4 blocks times 4 measures each. Then I'll bring over the drums in the same way. Now, before I duplicate a bunch of the drums, I'm going to listen to this beat and see how much of it I actually want at the beginning of the song. In a progressive house song, I tend to like to be able to add a few elements of percussion later on as the song builds up. So you don't want to spend all of it in the intro right away. I think I probably want that clap to stay there. Maybe I'll get rid of the open hi-hat. So remember, by clicking over here on the preview of that hi-hat, it allows you to select all. So if I just click that, then hit delete, all of those go away. Maybe I'll take out that kabasa as well. Sounds pretty reasonable for an intro. Now you've also got to think about a little bit of balance here. On the one hand, you want to make the intro long enough and simple enough that DJs can mix in your song easily. On the other hand, you've got to consider that sometimes people might be listening to your song completely on its own, not in the context of a continuous DJ mix. So you don't want it to be too boring and too long either. So keep that in mind as we start building up this intro of the song. Now another thing is, I should have done this to the kick before, so I'll just delete these for now, is the kick is going to be pretty loud if you take the volume of kick that you had over here at the very intro of the song. So what I'll typically do is select all of these and just to make them quieter, drag the velocity down a little bit. So remember from past sessions, if you hold Command and hover your mouse over each note, you can drag all of the velocities down for all of them together. So that volume might be okay about there. That's good. That sounds about like the level of kick that you want for an intro. Let's just duplicate both of these. You can do that at once by selecting all of it with your mouse. And we'll give ourselves at least 8 measures for this sort of pretty simple mix-in intro of the song. Now you might also be asking, how much melody and how much bass line should we put over here? And this again goes back to the question of, you don't want to overcomplicate the song at the beginning. You want it to be easy to mix in, but you also want to give the listener something to listen to. I like to kind of include a little bit of melody that's a bit suggestive of what's going to be coming up. So for example, the pads, maybe one of them might be worth bringing over. Let's just see which one was, I think this one was the higher pad. Yes. So maybe we consider moving one of those over. Command C, Command V to paste it in. And maybe for the intro, we simplify this melody even a little. So let me double click into here to get the piano roll. Maybe we delete all the rest of those notes and we shorten this up. Maybe we just repeat those 3 notes for the intro. Let's see how that sounds. So what we might look at doing next then is perhaps adding in some bass after this initial little block of intro. And let's just hear this back and see how long it is, or if we think it needs to be longer. Yeah, I think I might duplicate all of this once more. And then perhaps on the 4th block of measures, we'll take the kick away and start introducing a new sound, perhaps the bass. And for the bass line over here, I think I might write something a little bit simpler than what we wrote over here. Let's hear the bass line. I'll just solo this by pressing S on my keyboard. Yeah, I think we'll go with something simpler over here for the bass for the initial introduction. All right, so for the initial bass line, I'm thinking something pretty simple, maybe something like this. All right, so since I'm going to record in the bass line, I'm going to come up here and turn on the metronome to make life easier for myself, especially because I don't have a kick over in this section to help keeping me in time. So let's just do a practice run here. Spacebar to get it going. Just really simple, just walk up the scale and back down to the lead note. All right, let's try recording. I'll just hit R and it will count me in. All right, let's double click and bring in the piano roll and see how we did. I'll just do a quick Command A and Command U to quantize and snap these to the grid. You can see one of them over here has missed, so I'll just bump that over with the arrows on my keyboard. And there we go. Turn off the metronome. Okay, that should be fine just for an intro. I'm going to duplicate that and the drums. And once we come to this section, maybe that's when we bring in the full melody of this pad over here. So let me copy that and bring that over. Okay, the bass sounds a little bit off, and I suspect what's happened is that this block of sequencer over here is a little bit off. You've got to watch out for these. And yep, you can see that there. Let me zoom in for you. Because I did this manually and pressed spacebar to stop recording, I didn't get this exact. So you've got to keep that in mind. Make sure it's right snapped to the grid properly. Now when we go and duplicate that clip of bass, it's going to go into the proper section over here and it won't be out of time. Okay, so over here, maybe now that's where the kick's going to come in with the full velocity that we had. It's sort of full volume over here. So not the quieter kick there, but the louder kick over here. So let's duplicate a section of this, or copy it rather, bring it over here, duplicate that, bring the drums back in, and let's try adding in the normal bass line from over here once that kick comes in with it. Let me duplicate that. And then duplicate the pad again. And clearly you can see we're running out of extra space here. We're going to need to move this full part of the song a good ways to the right again. All right, let's hear this from here. Okay, that sounds like a good moment where the song starts to kind of pick up its initial piece of momentum. So I'm thinking to maybe also add the lower pad, which sounds like this, over here as well. Yeah, let's go for it. Copy and paste. Okay, and over here to change things up and make it a little more interesting, just to kind of give ourselves a little moment of pause before the beat comes back. Maybe we get rid of some of these highs and have a little brief kind of silent moment of percussion. Not sure if I like that or not. Let's hear it back before it was taken away. I'll hit Command Z to bring that back. Maybe we can take away just those two last hi-hats. That's good. I like that. Shift tab to get rid of those drums. All right, so I think the next main sound to bring in is going to be this main synth lead over here, this purple one. Solo that by pressing S on the keyboard. I don't want to bring that in all at once. I'll probably start again stripping away some of the notes in here and kind of teasing the melody first before it is given in full. So I think the place for that to start happening is probably going to be here. So I'm just going to duplicate these drums, give myself more to work with. I'll just do it 4 times. Same for the bass line and same for the pads. Twice, because those are 8 measure pads each. So here's where we're going to start reverse engineering and stripping away some of this melody. Here's a trick if you want to work on your notes a little bit more easily. Once you've already written them all in, you only want to see the notes that have notes written in as opposed to the entire keyboard. You can come up here and press this fold feature and watch what happens. Now you only see the notes that you've written in. It kind of makes things easier to work on. Okay, so maybe we're going to take away that note. We'll take away this cluster. Maybe this one too. Maybe we'll resolve or land on that note, that high note, and take away everything else for now. Yeah, I think I like that. Maybe I'll duplicate this again. And then I'll drag this guy back over, or paste it rather. And now I'm going to strip away some more notes, but not as many as I did for these sections here. Take away a few notes kind of at random and just see how we do with that. Nope, I think we took away too many over there, so let's Command Z and bring those back. Maybe we'll just take away the ending. And again, resolve on that high note. Oops. Okay. Repeat this one more time. And now the song will go on a breakdown again, because I think we've been going away with the beat for quite a while. We can still have, of course, our highs. And maybe now, during the breakdown, is the time when we finally introduce this full melody over here, together with the section that resolves to the higher sequence, which is that. So let's copy that one over, and then also copy over the second one that resolves to the higher notes. And let's duplicate our pads. Looks like there's a slight problem with that pad. The same problem I described earlier. Let's fill that out to the proper distance and recreate that. These ones here I'm assuming are problematic too. So let me just go and fix those up quickly. There we go. Okay. Duplicate this pad and this pad. Okay, now that you've heard that full melody during that breakdown, I think it's time for the beat to come back in with a bit more punch and a bit more drive. So what I'm going to do here is bring our full beat over here with our highs. That includes all of those other sounds that we stripped away at the beginning, which is this little open hi-hat and this kabasa, versus what we have over here. All right, that's just going to give the song a bit more drive when the beat comes back in over here. Right, so if that's going to be our beat, and I want all of the rest of this song, I think it's time to just drag this sucker in and go to our full groove after this breakdown. And I'm not done with this breakdown, mind you. I think we might do something to kind of make it a little bit more interesting and a little bit more kind of tension building. But let's just see how this plays out. Into our second lead melody. Okay, and there you go. That's starting to look like a song. Let's listen to it from the beginning and see how it builds itself up. Okay, I think those bass notes are a little too long, so I'm going to just delete this section because I'm going to come work on this one and make some of these notes shorter. I think we want it about there. Let's see how that does. that's better. Let me duplicate this and let it play on. Okay, I think one note that's important is missing there that we had before. I think we need to have that note repeat itself. That's better. I want that to be the same way over here, so let me delete that and again duplicate. As you can see, Ableton lets you copy and paste and move sequencers around while the music's playing, which is handy. Alright, we're coming up here on our breakdown with the full melody from the lead synth. Again, over here, I might have a little pause at the end of this measure as a little pickup for the new beat coming in. Yep. Okay, so there you can start to see how the song is really going from an intro, and why it's called progressive house is these songs just kind of progress as they go. They build on themselves, and eventually, you know, we're not gonna just stick to this main melody on loop for the whole song, right? So something else has got to happen here. You've got to think about what you want to do for a breakdown, a bridge, where you have a harmonic or melodic change up. Otherwise, the songs do become a bit too repetitive, a bit too mundane. But these songs are generally 6, 7, sometimes 8 minutes in length. Seems to kind of be a standard. Actually, some progressive tracks are even a bit longer than that. Some are 8 or 9 minutes. I tend to like to keep mine around 6 to 7. So I think we're around maybe 3.5 minutes here so far. Now, next week's session, we're going to start looking at how to write a bridge and how to look at different harmonies and melodies that'll work, which are still going to fit the overall harmonic structure and vibe of the song, but you're going to go on a little bit of maybe a downward journey in an area here for a little while before you get back to the main groove of the song and have an outro. And of course, as you can imagine, the outro is pretty easy to write. You can kind of just do the reverse thing of what you've done over here on the intro, although I tend to like to leave a little bit more going on, a little bit more melody for some of the outro, so that the song and the sound and the volume doesn't kind of dissipate and become too, without enough energy. So generally speaking, that's the process I use to start building up a song to take it from beat 1 up until the main groove. I hope that's been helpful to you guys, and we will continue working on this song. And on sessions going forward, we're also going to be jazzing up these little breakdowns before we get to the main breakdown of the song, just to keep things more interesting and keep the listener a bit more engaged. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. We will see you back here next week for the next session. Remember, a new video goes live on the Ableton tutorial every Sunday at 12 o'clock noon Eastern Standard Time. Cheers.